Okay, so we are back.
We're back. Okay, everyone, super apologies. We have no idea what happened. I am working under the assumption that when you try to change the plan and try to have discussions that are not pertinent to what people think you're supposed to talk about, like forces get in the way and it really messes everything up. But no one can stop us because we're better than that. And that's why we brought everyone back from the other address, the Sess. So we're going to continue this on. Tony, we were talking about comic books, which had my interest, and I started on a horrible monologue, which I'm glad I think almost no one but you guys had to listen to, as I waited for Nick to tell me what I had to do. But yeah, what was your comic book line of thought?
Right now, I'm just sick of superhero comics. So I've been reading Saga.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really good.
It's the Ryan K. Vaughan who did Y the Last Man.
Right.
Lost. I guess they had to delay a few issues of Saga because he needed to pen, the miniseries Under the Dome. Because, I mean, we all needed that show, right, guys? When we need a Stephen King novel dramatized, it should be Under the Dome because, yeah. Anyway, Tony, I got in the way there.
I also am reading Manhattan Projects, which I just started that.
Oh, yes. Isn't that cool? I love that.
It is really cool.
Okay, so the rest of you guys know, and Tony, tell me if you think my synopsis is accurate. Alternate reality, World War II, Japan, Germany, Russia, and America all have somehow adapted some really high-tech technology. And more or less the Manhattan Project, which is ostensibly supposed to be the development of nuclear weapons, is actually cover for something that's more transdimensional. And like the characters in this comic book are Albert Einstein, Oppenheimer, obviously. The big hero, at least so far in it, is Feynman, the great mathematician.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like the best nerd cool thing ever, and Oppenheimer is really evil, and it's not real Oppenheimer, it's his twin brother who's a serial killer who's the soul of his brother, so he's both Oppenheimers. And that's nowhere near how crazy this thing gets.
I love Von Braun a lot.
Yeah, Von Braun. I mean, it's Manhattan Projects is just, when I was reading it when I was alone out in Austin filming for a movie, so I'd be spending these rather long hours alone at this Omni Hotel that's out in an office park. So I just kind of sit at the bar and sip at something and read it, and like Manhattan Project was like, I brought my best friend with me. I cannot say the nicest thing about it. What else are you reading?
I'm also reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Oh, is it for the first time?
Yeah, I'm in volume 3 right now.
Cool,
of the 6 volumes.
I mean, there's a reason why Alan Moore is Alan Moore, and that is one of the instances where you start to see this rather rarefied talent come out of him. Yeah, I've been. I mean, you've named quite a few of the ones I've been reading. I also went back and started to go through Sandman again.
My friend keeps trying to get me to go through it, but I just haven't quite tackled it.
It's good. It kind of makes me sometimes feel a little embarrassed. There's elements of it that make me go like, oh yeah, the '90s. Oh yeah, we had such an interesting value system, and I was young enough, and I like things with like heavy emotional portent, but. That's also really where you start to see a huge beginning in that shift away from superheroes.
Right.
And you actually, in the very beginning of Sandman, which is fascinating, you'll see it actually intertwine more in the traditional DC universe, as if there was anxiety that about what they were doing with this book, and they had to kind of say, oh yeah, hold on, let's imply Batman over here. As time goes on, that it becomes far less necessary. It's highly successful.
I feel like they did the same thing with the new Swamp Thing. Like the new 52 Swamp Thing, they had to bring in Superman like in issue 1.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, it's part of the universe, and now we're done.
Right.
So because we're a little bit truncated on time, I think we should go ahead and start bringing in new people. How's that sound?
Let's bring in everyone, and let's see if we can just go a little bit nutty here.
Yeah, sure. Let's bring in Gita.
Gita,
who I think we've had as a guest before.
Yes, we have.
Hello.
Great.
Gita, what's on your mind?
Actually, I was really enjoying the comic discussion, even though I want to eventually possibly talk to you about the French New Wave, because I've enjoyed hearing some of your thoughts on Godard's work.
Yeah, I would definitely not say I'm an expert on Godard. It's like it's one of those love-hate things. Absolutely. Like when I've seen Breathless, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Alphaville, the mere fact that he decided to just piss off his own producers. He said he's working on a sci-fi movie and deliberately doesn't do anything action-like and films it on location around Paris because he found it sufficiently sci-fi back in the 60s. That's really cool. Then you can see other Godard. I still like
Yeah,
Louis for the audacity of it, but it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I was thinking specifically about Contempt today.
Oh, yes.
Because I was thinking a lot about stars and stardom with all the sort of major award ceremonies coming up and what signifies a star. And the way they use Brigitte Bardot in that movie is really painful to watch, the way he just denigrates her for the mere fact that she's a film star.
Yeah.
And she's not an actress. She's not very, she's just compelling to look at, compelling to watch. And clearly, like, this is a movie about his marriage to Anna Karenina, or Karenina, whatever. Anna Karenina.
Yeah, not the Tolstoy
not the
novel,
other one.
but the woman whose name looks like the Tolstoy novel. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and he also pissed off his producers on that one. The first 15 minutes of the movie is Brigitte Bardot parading around in her bra. And so everyone knows Bardot was a va-va-voom person. I mean, she was something else back then. But he had never intended to have those first 15 minutes. And when the producer's like, we got you, Bardot. You're going to use her to the expectations of the audience. But you're right. I mean, there is that, there's a nasty vein. And it is called Contempt, let's be honest. I mean, he's not hiding.
It wasn't subtle.
I mean, it's interesting. The other thought I've had, like, when we use the term French New Wave, I don't even know what that's supposed to encompass. If it's like all French films during a certain time period, because you look at something like Contempt, and then you look at something from like Francois Truffaut, like The 400 Blows, and it's like it's just kind of same place, same time with a touch of verite, but you're not looking. It's not like back in the 90s again, the school of Danish filmmaking. That was all natural light. I can't think of the name of it right now. Someone's gonna tell me.
Dang it, I know the name of this.
Yeah. I mean,
Dogma 95.
Dogma. It's not like it's governed over the same kind of like very clear set and narrow principles. I'm wondering if French New Wave is really just now shorthand for French movie of the 1960s.
These dudes were making these movies at this time, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wonder about that too, especially because these directors stylistically evolved so quickly, and they were so adventurous that a lot of times you can see some common threads and common interests, but you see an evolution of skill that is so vast within such a short time period that these films don't really have a lot in common with each other in terms of their subject matter and how it's visually represented, that I also sort of wonder how accurate. I mean, it's accurate in that a lot of the directors were very enthusiastic about this new wave of French film and wrote about it. But the films themselves, I mean, Zazie dans le Metro doesn't have a lot to do with Contempt. Has a lot to do with 400 Blows, but not really with a lot of the other movies.
Well, then on that Louis Malle reference, oh my God, this is so. See, I'm enjoying this, everyone. This is nerdy. I love it. I used to think of Louis Malle movies in a particular way. He also did quite a few that had children, kind of like, it's sort of day in the life feeling. And then I caught this one about 2-3 weeks ago with the wife called Black Moon. Watch it. It's got a unicorn.
Okay, great. I'm sold.
Oh, yeah. You tell me after you see it. I really want to know what your thoughts are, because that was usually like there's that kind of movie that you make fun of when it isn't completely mainstream. This is the first time I've encountered a movie that I had that reaction where I'm like, what the living fuck is going on here? And it was quite enjoyable as a result of it.
I want more specificity about it. If it involves kids and is shocking, this is only tangentially related.
Okay, so unspecified place and time, people are speaking English, but it very much feels like France. There's a war going on between men and women. Like, that's it. Like, that's all you can tell. It's like there's men on one side, there's women on one side, and everyone's being really mean to each other. This one woman who's dressed like a man somehow steals herself off to some strange French countryside manor. The first thing you see is that you see a man on a horse, and then you see a unicorn, and then you see naked children running down the driveway, and then she ends up in a room of an old lady who's kind of on a CB radio, and then she starts talking to a massive oversized rat. An actual rat. See, and then starts to criticize how the woman who just showed up there looks. It gets weirder from there.
Okay, so weird stuff involving kids I can totally handle, but I learned something about myself recently, which is that I can't deal with anything sad that involves children. Like my brother told me to watch this anime called Anohana, which is like the super tragic story about these kids, and like one of them dies when they're young, and it's like the rest of them growing up. And I made it through the first episode and cried like twice, and was like, I can't watch this show anymore. Like I had learned that I just have no tolerance for sad things involving cute kids.
Yeah, all right. Well, we are going to do Bringing Up Nick again, and now I can't get out of my head that we're going to do Au revoir les enfants.
I missed that show.
Dude, we're going to do Bringing Down Adam, where I make you watch a bunch of anime bullshit. I think
that's awesome.
What do you think about that? I think we need to make it go back and forth a little bit. That, you know, eventually I'm ending up like, he can finally make me understand Dragon Ball Z. He can never make me like it.
I'm also going to flip live whichever person in the Hangout is smiling the most right now, just on the presumption that they can contribute to our anime discussion. So yeah. Let's hear from Jason. He better have anime opinions. And
unmute yourself there, Jason.
Hey,
let's see.
Darn it.
Hey, Jason.
Do you have me now?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that. Afternoon, Mr. Sessler.
Oh, afternoon to you.
So glad I got in. I actually briefly met you a couple years ago while you were at the Supreme Court. While the case, actually, I was standing at the steps while you were doing your old show when the gentleman told you couldn't do a video there about your First Amendment rights, which was very odd.
You know what? It does turn out he actually reached out to me, and just so everyone knows, I covered the Supreme Court case that for the California law that prohibits the sale of violent minors. I had the pleasure of getting in the chamber and watch the case being presented to the Supreme Court. I did Sessler's soapbox back then on the steps of the Supreme Court, and I was told by the security guy not to do it as I was doing it. Turns out that
even though there were many other news people there doing their own stories within 5 to 10 feet from you.
But you can do it at the very sidewalk. In order to prevent protests, and no protest can be on the steps, it can be right on the sidewalk.
Hey, Jason, real quick, can you turn down your speakers? We're getting a lot of feedback through your mic. That's all right.
Oh, that's what it is, Nick. I never know what that sound is.
I was trying to get to the bottom of it.
I assume I'm having a stroke. So, and anyway, but anyway, Jason, what do you want to chat about? Oh, actually, where are you? Are you in the freezing places?
I will stay off topic, even though I had other questions for you. But Nick was asking about anime. There's a lot of anime I like these days. My fiance and I are really into Sword Art Online, which is quite amazing considering she knows nothing about MMOs or RPGs. But I'm probably an old school anime guy. I love Transformers. I have over 1,000 Transformers here in my home. I loved Robotech back in the day. I should have been involved in the comic book discussion earlier. I have about almost 100 long boxes that, because of my job, about every 2 to 3 years I have to pack into a moving truck and drag across country to wherever my career takes me.
So your career is not in the long boxes.
My life is, but not my career. I'm actually one of those evil meteorologists.
Your life isn't in the long boxes. That sounds like a horrible admission of horrible things, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're having a low controversy address to Sess this week.
Did you say you're a meteorologist?
I'm determined.
Yes, I'm a meteorologist in Oklahoma. I'm originally from New York. I am not here normally.
So, okay, in terms of, and it's interesting you said Transformers, and this is because I watched Transformers. I was a huge Macross.
Real quick, Jason, can you can you mute your microphone when you're not talking, just to reduce the echo?
There we go. I was a huge fan, and Nick, we might even want to bring in some other people on this one. And I really always look at the anime is it had to have been sort of originally designed for Japan, whereas, and correct me if I'm wrong, where something like Transformers, which, and once again, maybe I'm wrong on this, was designed for an American audience. Am I right on that?
I don't know. I kind of remember it being more Japanese, but it's been a really long time since I've seen it.
I always thought it had to be Japanese, but even though I can't remember if Transformers was done, I think it was actually done by the Korean outfit. That's where it was drawn.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a funny story. I ran into him. I'm going to forget his name. One of the writers for Transformers a few years back in the Writers Guild was moderating a panel, and they were talking about how, like, to try to keep costs down, they really just kind of wrote the script, sent it over to Korea, and they had to deal with whatever came back. And sometimes there was really some kind of language barriers. There was one instance where I'm curious how this made it into the script, that Optimus Prime, I guess he gets upset, and in the description it says Optimus Prime has a cow. As you might understand, something that colloquial probably doesn't translate well into Korean. And so when they got back, and they had this animated sequence where Optimus Prime just kind of squats down, and upon standing, there's a cow where his behind once was. I wish this still existed, because I need to see, because that could be French New Wave. Optimus Prime had a cow come out of his nether regions.
There's a great YouTube video of the shooting of that old that live action Hercules show back in the 90s, and there's a YouTube video of the lead actor in the show. It says in the script that he's supposed to be disappointed of something, and so he says the line right before it, and then just yells, "Disappointed!" And I think about that all the time. That this dude just yelled his emotions. It's good storytelling. Oh, speaking of animation, by the way, we've got a question from the YouTube user MBlockBL, who asks, movies, Oscar predictions, movie of the year, and best actor, actress.
Wait, when did this
I have many feelings on this.
Yeah.
Well, but Nick, what's up with the graphic? I've never seen.
I know, isn't that crazy? I just found this button that I can press, and I can just make YouTube.
We are now contemporary with CNN, like maybe 1988. That's awesome.
Well, we've got a hologram of MBlockBL here to ask us this question. About best
it looks like you have. What do you think?
Well, I think Lupita Nyong'o is definitely going to get it for supporting actress, because she got the SAG. And the outcry after she lost the Golden Globe was so large that Academy voters are now thinking, we don't want to be those guys. I think that 12 Years a Slave will take Best Picture, but not Best Director, which will probably go to Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity. Best Actor...
Is that what... And that's what happened at the Golden Globes, correct?
Yeah, that is what happened at the Golden Globes. And I see Academy voters doing the same thing, mostly for being uncomfortable to giving it to someone who's both black and British.
About something
and in the fine arts.
Yeah. No. You're right. That's right, because man, if you guys have not seen 12 Years a Slave, it is a rough movie. It is an incredible piece of filmmaking, even independent of what its obviously very, very challenging subject matter is. But you could tell this man is a visual artist. There's just moments that are just... You know what I'm really excited about?
Oh, go on.
Okay, here's the thing. I might, for the first time, try to watch some of the red carpet shows because of, and I'm gonna, the lead actor. I practice saying his name because when I can look at it, it's phonetic. But I want to see all the red carpet people from E trying to. Yeah, that's just going to be a lot of fun. So that's the one plug I'll give my old employer.
Gravity makes a lot of sense, I think, just because it feels really Oscar baity to me in the terms of it's it's really ambitious and really visual, but it's also there's no one who could see Gravity and not understand it. It's such a clear, simple story. It's such a populist option. It just seems.
Yeah.
In this series, I actually think though American Hustle might take it. Not necessarily due to the quality of the picture, but remember when Crash won instead of Brokeback Mountain?
Oh God, don't remind me.
Now, what
I hate that movie.
The largest voting body in the Academy are the actors. And one thing this is very true about the Emmys and why certain shows like The Wire, you would never see them getting the acclaim they clearly deserve, is you tend to vote for people you worked with. It's just the kind of log rolling you do for one another. So if you have a really large cast, the likelihood you'll have a group of people who have worked with one of those individuals, it just tends to kind of cascade upwards. So because of just the breadth of name talent that's inside of American Hustle, it may, by default, just curry a large number of votes. Whereas, and this is what I think is the biggest challenge for 12 Years a Slave, most of these actors are from the UK and don't have extensive experience in American cinema.
Absolutely.
I'm cynic, as you can see. So,
what were you going to say, Tony?
I was going to say I just didn't really enjoy American Hustle that much.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't love it either.
I thought it was going to be really good, and then I got into it, and I think my favorite character was Louis C.K. just because of how bad of an actor he is. He was
Dude,
just so
he's
great.
terrible. It's so weird, especially in his first scene. He is so. I love Louis C.K. so much. He is so bad in that movie. Like, it's funny because there's a whole episode of Louis where he's like, it's all about him being in a movie and talking about how he can't act and he can only play himself. And then here he is in this movie, just like, it's so funny because he's just being exactly himself and not. It's like he's practically reading his lines sarcastically. It feels like it's just so out of place. And everyone else is like acting.
Yeah, I actually quite like the movie. I definitely liked its overall message. I like the idea that the movie's about nothing.
Yeah.
There was no crime. And it's just this way in which just all these things happen out of absolutely nothing, and that kind of, I think, is one of the more accurate portrayals of American business.
I think my last Oscar thought, just to bring it back to anime, because that's all I'm talking about today, because it's easy to talk about besides video games, is when you look at the nominees for Best Animated Film, there's a movie in there that stands out from the rest, and it's Madoka Magica, Rebellion, which is the third movie in this really, I'm literally wearing a Madoka shirt right now because I'm a cartoon character, but it's this.
I thought that was like a fashion line. I had no idea that's an anime you wear.
Well, it's a shirt that's a parody of a fashion. It's weird. Anyways, Madoka is the least approachable thing in the world. Trying to jump into the third movie of this really weird philosophical deconstruction of magical girl anime is crazy. And the idea of this panel of Oscar, all these old white people trying to watch this insane anime movie and evaluate it from a critical perspective, that's enough. The fact that it was that it was up for nomination and they had to watch and evaluate it just brings me no end of pleasure.
Okay, now I want to see this. I'm intrigued. Can I find this on one of them services that you like to watch that's all digital and stuff?
Yeah, I'll find you a way to watch Madoka. It's basically a show that's it takes the sort of magical girl. I'm so glad I get to talk about this on the internet. Oh my god. It takes the concept of those Maho Shoujo magical girl animes like Sailor Moon or Card Captors or whatever.
I was going to say, Nick, is it like Sailor Moon? Because my fiance can never stop talking about it.
So what it is
Sailor Moon is the best.
Sailor Moon is
I know. She's Jupiter. She has the costume and everything.
Cool.
So this show not Venus. I'm Venus.
So the cool thing about the show is that it's a magical girl anime that seems totally normal for the first 4 episodes, but it's basically what if a magical girl anime had consequences? People die, people go into battles and they lose. They just get killed out of nowhere, and it's really violent and horrible. And they're always they have these. Yeah, exactly. Really? They're real girls with real lives, and they have all these weird subversions of you know how they always have these little familiars, a cute cat in Sailor Moon or that little floating guy in Cardcaptor. In this show, over the course of it, you start to really doubt the motivations of that character, and it starts to all feel a little bit satanic and terrifying. And it's this really dope reconstruction of or deconstruction of the most cheerful, unexamined genre of anime. They took it and they made it scary and weird, and it's really just a brave, crazy show that I think everyone
it's like Utena, but somehow gayer.
Yeah, yes, it's Utena, but with even more homosexual undertones.
All right, I need to see this. You sold me on it. Okay, but when you say magical girl, does that have a definition in your head beyond magical girl?
Yeah, to me, it's a whole genre of shoujo anime called Maho Shoujo, which is basically magical girls. So high school aged girls who are given magical powers and have to fight crime and be cute at the same time. And it's this very tame, cheerful genre that this show just flips on its head and makes disturbing. It's awesome.
Yeah, that reminds me of one of my most favorite Takashi Miike movies, and I can't remember, but it involves
Audition.
Japanese. No, Audition. It kind of sits outside of his oeuvre. Okay. This is more in his Dead or Alive. And guys, I'm not saying go out and run to see his movies because you might end up suing me for what's in them.
Dude, I kind of hate Audition, honestly.
I love Audition.
Maybe I was too young.
So creepy, upsetting. Oh, I had 2 friends that walked out of the theater and yelled at me because I took them to go see it. I mean, his stuff is rough. But that one just played on some really legitimate themes. And, to be honest, in light of some of the things that are being discussed about gender issues inside of the game industry, I think almost everyone needs to go and watch Audition.
Yeah. Oh, Audition is so fast. I respect the hell out of it, but it's and maybe I was too young when I saw it, but I love the message.
Well, yeah, you were probably 5.
Yeah, I was not old enough to be watching Audition. I worked in like a video store and I was like 13 and I don't know why I thought it was good.
And what I want to understand is anyone who has seen Bringing Up Nick, you now understand the man worked at a video store. He had not seen Aliens. He had not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, Die Hard, and I forgive him for not seeing Videodrome, but still, you work at a video store.
Well,
we're going to have more.
I don't understand that.
That makes no sense.
I'm going to flip someone else live now. Let's talk to Doll. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to take one real quick question.
Are you going to do it in that kind of fancy way?
I'm totally going to do it the fanciest way possible.
I feel like a sophisticated outlet now when you do that.
Journalism. This is from Adrian Lopez, who asks, what is your favorite pizza? Mine is Honolulu.
No, really?
Is Honolulu just Hawaiian? Does that just mean like pineapple and ham?
Okay, yeah, Nick, we have to talk about this for a second. Do you want to bring everybody else in?
Yeah, sure.
We need to discuss this pizza thing here because I'm very passionate on this.
Everyone's joining. It's time for Pizza Chat 2014. Okay. Let's all talk about pizza.
So pizza. Muddy. Do you guys actually allow for pineapple on your pizzas? I want to see a show of hands.
Why would you do that?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, man.
I'll eat it, but I'm not a fan.
How much does pizza have to suck that you put pineapple on it? It's not even like real pineapple.
Yo,
it's like shitty ass, dull, nasty ass, syrupy pineapple.
Yeah, it's the worst pineapple always. I remember when I was in college, one of my friends was like, we were ordering pizza, and she was insisting really hard that I ask for pineapple on it, and I did, and she got it, and I like turned around and looked at her like 10 minutes later, and she had taken all the pineapple off the pizza and was eating it separately, and I'm like, dog, I could have bought you some like shitty sliced pineapple. You don't need to ruin our pizza with your terrible pineapple.
Dog?
It wasn't my girlfriend. It was just like, but like
the bounty hunter?
Like what? I can't get behind anyone who wants to eat pineapple. Warm pineapple, like it should be illegal.
And also, it's like you have meat there. You have cured meat. You have meat that, ostensibly, probably not practically, someone has given some consideration about getting a particular flavor out of it. And it's like, fuck you, I'm putting pineapple on it. That's a terrible thing to do. Oh, it's okay. God. So my favorite pizza, really simple. I like to have onions, white onions, sausage, and black olives, and an abundance of cheese. That just kind of makes my day, and I'm happy to hear other people's pizza selections. Let's start over here with David. David?
Just cheese or sausage. Really plain versus that.
Dalo, what about you with pizza?
I just want to mention that I do sometimes order a pineapple pizza, so...
Okay, where do you live? Maybe there's a regional purpose.
Southern California.
Yeah, well, see, okay, having lived down there, pizza is not good in SoCal, unless you really know something. But okay, so we got one there from Dollar. Do you want the sweet taste? Is that what you want?
I'm just a fiend for pizza, and I try all kinds of pizzas. The one pizza I don't like are mushrooms. I will say that. But other than that, I tend to be a little bit more diverse. My favorite pizza, although, is pepperoni pizza with black pepper on top of it.
All right. No, that sounds good. Okay, you've almost redeemed yourself, Dalo, and we'll revisit you momentarily. Ethan, pizza choice.
I kind of grew up with St. Louis style. There's that whole like weird ultra thin crust dynamic.
Actually, I didn't. I mean, I have a lot of family in St. Louis. Was not aware that like super thin, like waffle thin.
Thin crust, like square cut with like the weird Provel Velveeta type product on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the ingredients, in addition to the crust, are also
different. Yeah. Good. And that with like Italian sausage probably. And
yeah.
That.
I mean that's the kind of sausage that's more like okay, I rolled my own sausage in my hands and put it on the pizza because sausage tastes better when someone else has been touching it. That's hi hon if you're watching. Yep. What is your favorite type of pizza?
Wait.
Yeah, wait.
Is
so
it me?
Wow.
Yeah, you.
It's your turn.
Sorry, okay.
On the spot.
Order. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going in order. There's a hair in my mouth. Hang on. There we go. So I grew up in Connecticut, where New Haven really thin crust pizza is just like the only pizza basically, and yeah, I just want like a really good margarita from like modern pizzeria where it's just really good sauce, really fresh mozzarella, and a little bit of fresh basil. That's perfect
And
for
then,
me.
okay, how do you like your cheese to sauce ratio?
Honestly, I like not too much sauce, but also if it's fresh mozzarella and sort of like the round little discs,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to cover the whole pizza. That's fine if it's just sort of like haphazardly splattered on there.
Then it's a big round bruschetta, really. If you're getting that level of fresh mozzarella on top of a sauce, yeah, it's fungible. I'll put it that way. Okay, Jason, what's your pizza toppings of choice? Jason?
Oh, sorry.
okay.
I'm pretty plain. I'm like a meat lovers.
So you just want all meats. Okay, do you like ham on the pizza?
Yeah, I'll do the ham. I'll do sausage. I'll do the hamburger. It's all bad for my heart, but what the hell? I might as well enjoy myself.
Health is not a concern. See, that's interesting because I think there's certain things that should only be on pizzas. I like the Italian sausage and I like the pepperoni. But when things that should show up in other dishes like sandwiches, like ham, I feel like somehow I don't know why I need this very clear taxonomy of what is a viable meat outside of the pizza and what is, but yeah, that's probably would explain a lot about my childhood. Let's move on. Max, how do you want your pizzas?
I generally like to go like all out, balls to the wall. I go with pepperoni, salami, habanero, red peppers, just explosive pizzas all the time.
Habaneros?
Explosive pizzas, huh?
I mean, yeah, but we kind of know where the explosion might be occurring there, Max.
I'm sweating just thinking about it.
Where do you live that you do that?
I live in
right
Kentucky.
next to Philip J. Fry.
Kentucky? Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say like New Mexico or something like that, where I'm like, okay, I can see how like culturally there's an interest in. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Bourbon and habanero pizza. I need to take a trip out to Kentucky. You've intrigued me. And Nate.
Oh, I think you actually skipped someone first.
Did I?
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
I think the order shows up differently.
Okay, just making
sure.
sure. I'm a plain pepperoni kind of guy with like a lot of red pepper mixed in with it. I like a big, hot, spicy pizza.
You mean
You're like me.
That's my father.
Which would be good right now, considering how cold it is outside.
Where are you, Nate?
Boston, Boston area.
Yeah. My apologies for that. So you're talking about the red pepper flakes?
Yeah.
Okay. Does everyone else have the same problem? I like to have a lot of those on my pizza as well.
Yeah, it's so good.
But it takes so long to shake it out of the cake.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Yeah, it does.
You have to wait
I didn't know
for
if I didn't have the right wrist motion or something like that.
I have a red pepper shaker where there's no holes in it. It's basically just one giant tube that I have to like pour my hand in and kind of sprinkle it around the pizza. So I have to do that every time.
The red pepper
do you have that at home?
placement apparatus, though.
What?
Max, do you have that in your house?
Yes.
Could you grab it and bring it back? I want to see it.
No, it's not like a red pepper. It's just the sprinkled red peppers. Like those.
Okay, no, you're right. Yes. One time I tried to take the top off and thought I could kind of daintily put it on and create a disaster. But yeah, I do that too. Like I'm just.
Yeah.
Like I'm out in the field spreading the seeds of plants that I'm going to grow, except it's red peppers. So, and then finally, Tony, what you would like to chime in with how you like your pizzas?
I just like about everything on it. I mean, I like a classic just pepperoni pizza every now and then, but I'm cool with just like everything on it. I'm not picky on my pizza.
Okay, but I mean, are you not picky to the point that you will allow a pineapple to just wander in?
My girlfriend likes pineapple on her pizza.
Okay.
So by extension, you gotta like it too.
Right.
So, okay. Over the next week, for anthropological purposes, just see if you can figure out like other kind of cultural directives that might make one want to have pineapple on their pizza, because it is an absolute point of obsession.
Adam,
Fun
are
fact.
you intending to write a book about this?
Probably.
Why people want pineapple on their pizza by Adam Sess.
I'm going to start to envision the pineapple people, the pineapple pizza people, and my anxieties about them. Fun fact, before you move away from pizza, Justice Scalia on the Supreme Court is notorious for making his clerks eat anchovy pizza because he loves it. So, if you guys play the clerk for him, it's a comment. That's all.
I'm gonna hit you with something real quick. How do you feel about green olives?
I like them.
I tried that.
Yeah.
I tried that the first time we watched Videodrome, and then we all sat there with the cold, like lukewarm pizza in our laps, feeling really sick. So I have a negative association.
Right, and I think any food you eat during Videodrome is going to be like ruined for the rest of the
You didn't have green olives when you saw it, Nick?
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a few pizza comments here. This guy with the lovely name, A Speckled Turd, contributes.
Probably not a top one.
Love that name.
It does not beat mine. My,
I don't know if we trust it
gamer
more or
tag.
less, but meatballs, jalapenos, Swiss cheese, and sauerkraut, best thing in the world. It's called the Festus, apparently.
Okay, that actually sounds kind of good.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're just talking about this.
We could put it in a bowl and mix it up and. Okay, anyway.
Well, not to divert from food, I do have one question, which is, like,
Go for it.
as we've grown up, there have been, like, food products that have gone the way of the dodo. I'm kind of curious, what is something that everybody wishes that they could have brought back? For me, it's, I don't know if anybody will remember this, and I hope they do, black cherry vanilla Coke. I really miss
Yes! Yes!
I want Coca-Cola to bring back to black cherry vanilla Coke. That is my favorite soda that they ever made.
At least you didn't ask for the return of New Coke.
Hey, I could have been worse. I could have asked for Crystal Pepsi.
Hey, I want that.
Hey, is Crystal Pepsi, is that the one that had the ad with the young people roller skating and having more fun than I will ever have had in my entire damn life?
I think so. That sounds like good marketing.
That sounds right.
That ad upset me. Oh, it's like a freaking Terrence Malick, like magic hour shot. Everyone's beautiful on the roller skates. Like, everyone knows each other. I mean, I'm neurotic about that. I mean, whenever I show up somewhere, I believe that everyone else knows each other really, really well, and I'm just an interloper. But I have never had any one piece of marketing cause me that level of anxiety attack than that ad. Yeah, if you want me to buy something, don't show other people enjoying it. Oh, Nick, does that make me a hipster? Is that a hipster?
Yeah, probably.
That makes me a hipster. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
My product, I think, would be something that I have never found any evidence exists outside of my memory. Like, I've Googled it extensively, and it's really hard to find proof that it existed. But it was a tube of, I think, Bazooka Joe bubblegum in, like, a toothpaste tube that you could buy at, like, grocery stores and CVS's, and you just squirt this weird, like, toothpaste-textured gum out and eat it. And I swear to God, it existed.
I definitely remember that as well.
It's just I can't even find pictures of it.
Because it sounds like the most irresponsible food product ever.
Yeah, maybe that's why
it's when you're a kid, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, anything that you can squeeze into it, like out of a tube when you're a kid, just gummy anything.
Okay, let's hear from someone else. I'm racking my brain. I can think of all the things I don't miss, but I want to hear from some of you about, hey, Nate, what do you want to see back, food-wise?
That's really tough because I can't think of anything at the moment.
That
Bazooka Joe thing, though, is in my head because I kind of do miss that because I haven't had that since I was very young.
Does anybody miss Surge?
The texture of it was so, like, that's going to
it was so...
Yeah. You know what I miss the most? Jawbreakers. Like, not those not those tiny little ones that you can, like,
the big ones.
Like, yeah, the giant ones that you couldn't even fit in your mouth unless
you
lifted it up.
You want that Ed and Eddie shit.
All the kids.
I want my jaw to be like this freaking big. Like when I put it in my mouth, just like.
Yeah, I mean they're also so unwieldy, and like only a 7-year-old's like, I don't care how sticky I am, and like saying that you're carrying it around in your back pocket so you can pull it out later.
Yeah.
I guess they don't sell that anymore.
No.
Hey, David, what do you think in terms of foods you miss?
Well, I've got to go the opposite direction and go back to Crystal Pepsi.
Okay, what does it taste like?
That's what I want to know.
I don't even remember.
Wow. No one does.
Because it did horribly. Not that Black Cherry Vanilla did any better.
You know, the thing that I kind of miss, and I think it's still out there, it's just not used anymore. You know, when I was a kid, we're talking like late 70s, early 80s, you go to a birthday party and you get one of those kind of really just normal cakes. And it was that icing that kind of, it was just like all sugar, but it would get to that hard, crusty thing. You kind of put it in your mouth and it would just melt. I mean, it was just, it's horrible. It doesn't taste good. But I know I had it sometime in the past 2-3 years, and it was like Proustian. Like the wash of memories of being young that came back, and I really kind of missed it. Now, the opposite is, I unfortunately grew up in Berkeley, and, you know, kind of, yeah, and my parents were just being conscious enough. Like, the cool stuff did not end up in my lunch bag. Like, I had zero bartering skills. Like, I couldn't give away an entire bag of food to get one piece of candy from someone else, because, like, I have banana chips, which are fucking nasty. You know what they taste like? They taste like bananas that no one wants, and they're electrified to harden. You know, that's what I had. Or trail mix, which had carob. And not like probably what they are now, which carob, like when you get trail mix, they were like in square form. No, they were made to look like incredibly small Hershey's Kisses. So it's giving you the anticipation of a chocolate taste and completely violating you with the point of contact. It's really disgusting, and those are the things I do not miss. One other thing, my parents once had a party and they had caviar there. I thought they were small blueberries. I was 6. That was the nastiest surprise ever. Yeah. Try it on a younger brother. It's hysterically funny.
Can I move away a little bit away from food, just to a different subject, because I think we've been on food for a little long. So Adam, I respect you as a journalist, as a just as a writer in general. I loved your work on X-Play back when you were still working for G4.
Thank you very much.
I have right next to me. When I was last on here back in I think September.
Okay.
I was actually working on this for a good like 5 months or so, which was a synopsis of, oh my god, a stack of 10 copies of 90 pages of a synopsis of, and it is somewhat going into gaming, but it's not solely gaming. It's the
if it's about me, it's not about gaming.
But,
Adam, I think he wrote a biography on you.
I was so motivated to write that I decided to write this, like a Spark Notes for Fabula Nova Crystallis, which is Final Fantasy 13 and Typo 50.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no.
I love Final Fantasy, but the 13 saga just. We need to move
Is it the 13
on.
saga or the Lightning saga?
I want to hear his explanation.
It's Final Fantasy 13, yes. But I want to say that I was one of those people that gave it the benefit of the doubt. It's really good. The story is really interesting, and I went through this like no stone left unturned.
What is it? What did you write exactly?
It's basically like an entire synopsis from beginning to basically to the end of the second game of what happens. It's
okay. Hold up that stack of papers one more time.
These are just 9 copies. 9 copies.
Pull off one individual copy so we get.
Yeah, I want to see how thick this thing is.
How much?
This is part 2. This is everything in 13.2, just condensed down to like several pages or so. Yeah.
Will you do me a favor and turn to a random page and like poke your finger and read me the first sentence that?
Okay. Well, I can actually post this in here right now. It's the internet version I posted up online, so you can all read it. But
yeah, there's
anyway.
a DeviantArt link.
So Max, this is interesting because I have not played 13.1, nor have I played 13.2.
Yeah.
Or have I played 12, 11, 10, 10.2, 9, or 8. But that's beside the point. But do you think by reading this, I might be able to have the edge to drop right into Lightning Returns without...
Oh my god, yes. Yeah, I would say you would be so wholly prepared. I mean, and... Oh my god.
Okay, Max, would you forgive me if I go ahead and look at this and we do some dramatic readings on camera? Not now, but I might do that in anticipation.
Yeah, I would love that because and can I just rant about this for a second?
Go right ahead, rant.
The one thing that I had to do for this was I had to read, I think, 4 novels, play through all the games, and watch one film in all of which, well, besides the games, everything I had to read and watch were all in Japanese, except for one novel. Every other novel was only in Japanese, and that is the one thing I hated about it.
So you actually read in Japanese? Are you?
No, I had to find translations of them. So
did you use Babblefish?
Yeah. It was a nightmare just having to find these translations.
I want to tip my hat to you because I've done things like this, not for Final Fantasy, but I really kind of love, there's books or ideas I have in my head that I keep on trying to sit down and discipline myself to write. And part of the aspects I love the most about it is kind of the research, and then the research for the research. Kind of that game of looking for stuff and discovering it, and then trying to figure out what is that essential circumference of knowledge. So I feel that I've informed everything. I would have never thought about doing it with Final Fantasy, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's a detective novel I wanted to write for far too long, and I just keep on saying, okay, I just need to read 2 more books by Chandler or something like that, and I feel I can do it.
An example of this, I was reading through one of the novels, and just to give you a perspective as to how much is condensed in this, there are 2 novels that I had to read. Both of them were related to 13-2. Both novels are about 472 pages long. I condensed those novels into maybe 10 pages or so.
Wow.
What's interesting is that Square Enix just today posted a video, a video recap.
Yeah, the 16-bit.
They need to make a game of that.
They actually gloss over a lot of the important parts, especially backstory before the games, what happens, basically the mythology, what happens between Benevilza, the main deity, and when he battled his mother, Wynn. Basically gloss over that.
I feel like we're maybe lapsing into video games a little bit.
But anyway,
But you know what? That is absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I was aware of what Square Enix put out there, and this reminded me of when, because you know that someone did a novelization of Eco.
Yeah, they know.
Yes.
Which is fascinating because it's a fairly long book for a game that has virtually or actually no dialogue whatsoever. It was very interesting. Obviously, someone was quite affected by the game and went forward and even got an English translation.
It's kind of like the opposite problem of when you adapt a book into a movie and you don't have any of that internal dialogue, where this time they had no dialogue to adapt from and had to... Also, this is, apropos of nothing, I just want to share this comment real quick. Brian Bond says, I miss 3D Doritos. Frowny face.
And I feel like, 3D Doritos!
Oh, you mean the ones that look like a con... they're called cones. It's a geometric term.
No, these ones... established. I think what he's describing are these ones that were these air. You want to talk about a good, unique texture? They were shaped like dumplings almost, like wonton soup Doritos, and they were really fragile and. Oh yeah, I miss those too for sure.
Do you think Geoff Keighley would like those?
Geoff Keighley? I think he would.
I'm just joking.
I think he would like those Doritos with his Mountain Dew.
There was apparently, I found out recently that there was a flavor of Mountain Dew. There's a guy named @Cable on Twitter who recently got to try these Mountain Dew flavored Doritos that are from Japan. Or Cheetos, you're right, Cheetos, that are super gross. And also there was apparently at one point I don't know why I know all this Doritos lore, but I was reading on Wikipedia. There's this.
I can see what's going on there.
It's basically, I fell into one of Scott's internet rabbit holes, basically, and there was this, on the Wikipedia article, there's a mystery flavor of Doritos at one point that was question mark flavored, and it was secretly Mountain Dew flavored. That was their mystery flavor at one point. So
I know there's a Pepsi flavored Cheeto not too long ago, and that's why they came up with Mountain Dew.
Well, I mean, I have it all. I wrote this 90-page recap of all the Doritos flavors that have ever happened. I'll share that with you guys later.
I'm trying to give a phase-out flavor from my youth, and I can think of types of food that just don't exist anymore. There was a place, there was a bowling alley where I played my first arcade games, and there was a restaurant attached to it in El Cerrito called Rod's Hickory Pit. No one in their right mind would name someplace Rod's Hickory Pit anymore. Food shouldn't come from a pit. And Hickory really, yeah, you already know where I'm going with that. I just remember it was meat with sauce on it, and yeah. And like my parents going, don't go there.
I guess Dunkaroos were after your time, right, Adam?
What the hell's a Dunkaroos?
Oh, wow.
A Dunkaroo is like, you know those plastic snack packs where it's like some really shitty fake cheese and then some crackers and a little red stick and you like spread it on there?
Yeah.
It's basically some people got in a room and tried to figure out how to make that even less healthy, and what they came to the conclusion of cookies and frosting.
It's just adrenaline pure sugar.
Those things started when I was a kid. We had this really kind of interesting name for them. It was called cheese and crackers.
This is the 90s version of cheese and crackers.
Easy to market to my, young demographic. The thing that was most popular with me and my friends, which has endured, was Nerds. When those things came out, those candies, it was, and you would look at the box after I was done with it, and it was all moist up at the top because I was just getting my tongue in there to see if I can get one last one out of that. It's magical times of lacking in health.
This might be useful to someone. Peter McHale on YouTube says that they sell those big Jawbreakers at Target, or at least his Target. So,
guys, let's all grab our debit cards and head over
Target!
I will have to go hunt this down.
Grab your debit card, your social security number, all of it, your passport, and bring it to Target.
Oh my God.
So, $8.
Yes?
Because I decided to kind of hold you out as the exemplar of bad pizza toppings, I thought it would give you an opportunity to put the discussion in a new direction. What's on your mind? Remember, keeping an eye out for if you're sneaking some game in there.
Well, I didn't come here to talk about games. These days, I don't want to talk about video games because I could just go on Twitter and look at that. But
hey, can I hang out at your place? That sounds
awesome. But in terms of what we actually want to talk about outside of video games, I'm actually kind of curious what kind of books do you like to read? Because I'm a big fan of Jeff Shara, who's the son of Michael Shara, if you know him, who wrote the book The Killer Angels, and he writes a lot of books about American wars, like World War II and things like that. So I'm kind of curious what kind of books do you like to read?
Actually, if you don't mind, how do you spell that last name? I'm looking for a pen to write down this.
Jeff Shara. I'll actually put it in the chat for you, just so you can look there, so you don't have to write down.
Killer Angels is the one that's about Gettysburg, right?
Yeah. They made a movie about it called Gettysburg, which was based off the book that was written in the 60s, if I remember right. So, but yeah, I was just kind of curious what kind of books you like to read. Actually, I'll go look for the Wikipedia article.
I definitely, I was an English major, my wife was an English major, and so we tend to sort of gravitate towards sort of books. I like to see what's new and being published. I just picked up, because I just love this author, Gary Steingart, and his absolutely hysterical memoir called Little Failure, because that was his mom's nickname for him. But the other two, which I've only dabbled in and have not completely finished, but Sean Ray Lee's new book, absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you call him a Korean American or a Korean author. He does come from Korea, but he's been residing in the United States for quite some time. I like stuff that tends to veer towards the experimental. When I really got obsessed with the stuff that probably one could argue that it kind of goes to the borderline of what a novel is supposed to be. I wrote a paper on sort of the logic of William Burroughs and his very elliptical, very poetic fiction, some of which was actually just sentences from, in one case, Hallmark cards, cut up and then rearranged to almost create this kind of linguistic collage. And then I also, I've even gotten to reading nonfiction. I'm trying to get through like a 700-page political history of the Black Panther Party called Black Against Empire, which is just absolutely fascinating because I'm learning more about where I grew up from this one book than any adult has ever told me all the times I lived in the Bay Area, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's interesting when you say what type of books. I don't have a type. It's, I wish I could just read more. This whole game thing's been getting in the way of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I recently just got an iPad I just recently got an iPad recently, and I found myself actually reading more now that I have it, because as much as I like books, I find that I now read the newspaper more thanks to the LA Times app. So
yeah, I see. That's the problem. I want to keep up with contemporary events, and so I do. When I'm reading on a screen, I tend to be reading a lot of news and websites and stuff. I have not, and I'm curious to hear everyone else's thoughts. I'm still challenged about reading a book on the iPad that there is. I'm old, guys. There's something about that tactile. Like, I don't know if it's a security blanket.
You like reading,
that, you know,
reading books on dead paper.
Yeah, and I like
dead trees.
I think it was like armor to carry around a book. It's like, don't bother me. I'm a complete nerd. And I like the comfort of having a book.
I think headphones have kind of replaced that in modern society. Like I will put in my headphones when I'm on the train if I don't feel like being bothered, even if I'm not listening to anything, because it's an arm, like it's shield for being bothered, I think.
Yes.
David, it
yes.
looks like you want to jump in
Doesn't
there.
always work.
What's that?
Oh, David, I thought you were about to jump in there. I want to.
I was gonna say I agree with you. I vastly prefer physical books as with video games and such. But in terms of books, you gotta understand that digital it's pretty much taken over already. So it's just a matter of time of how long it stays around.
No,
I've been trying to convince myself to buy an iPad for reading purposes, and I guess that's what I kind of want to hear from you guys is like. I don't know whether my fantasy is that it'll make me read more, because what I do right now is whenever I find an article that seems interesting, I use the app Pocket to save it for later, and then I never think about it again, and that's just that's basically reading it, right? Just to save it and then forget about it. So I'm hoping that if I got an iPad, like in a perfect world, I would go and read all that stuff finally. But I don't know. Did getting an iPad change the amount of reading that any of you did?
Nick, I had a similar experience. I had an iPad 1, and you know, I thought, oh, I'll start getting my comic books digitally, and I'll start reading again more, and it never happened. Whether it's work or video games, or the only time I can really make myself read a book is when I have those pages in my hand, and even then, I've got to block out the time. There just seems to be so many distractions on that iPad that even when I try, I don't read unless I have that page.
It's just a sign of the times, really.
You know what, Jason? I think an interesting point there is sometimes I feel that when you're doing something on an iPad, you're trivializing it. That like if you're holding the book or if you have the comic book, that there's more of a statement of commitment. Whereas it's like if you can just choose to do it that quickly, you can choose to not be doing it just as easily.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's an amazing.
Hello?
Nick.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, but there's this YouTube video where someone took an interview with David Lynch and cut it down to 60 seconds, and it's like a fake Apple ad with David Lynch, where it's literally they're just playing the Apple ad music in the background, and David Lynch goes, he's like, I'm hearing all these people talking about watching movies on their cell phone. What a sadness! The idea that you could think that you've experienced a film on your fucking phone, and then an Apple logo pops up, and it's like it's just every time I watch like anime or TV or anything on my phone, I have this weird guilt that like David Lynch thinks I'm like a crappy person for doing it.
Hey, Nick, it's not just David Lynch.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's how I justify it to myself. The way that I justify it to myself is I'm like, okay, when that YouTube video came out in like 2009 or whatever, we didn't have Retina screens, so maybe he'd be okay with it now that I could.
No, there's nothing compared
3.5 inch
to.
screen. I'm sure he would forgive me. I'm sure he would.
Maybe with the
No,
Oculus Rift it'll be better.
Compared to experience of seeing something projected like 10 feet tall with you deep in the dark with sound coming from all around you. Even the light quality is different when like you see something projected onto a screen. Doesn't really. I mean, film looks different than video, but.
Well, and also, you know, like with a movie like 12 Years a Slave, in some cases you don't want to have the option to hit pause. Like,
absolutely.
you're gonna ruin the gestalt there, but you know you can't turn away, and that's really kind of an essential part of that experience.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever. For some reason, there's a line in my head where like I would never watch a movie on my phone, but I'm watching like there's this anime called Kill la Kill, which is just pure over-the-top cartoon.
I like that one when you showed it to me.
That's the good one.
I remember Adam. I was watching it with Jackie, and you walked up to our desk, and you just stood there for a second, and you were like, "This is fucked up." Like that was your reaction.
Just like the art direction is so much different than what I've been seeing.
It's really kinetic, and it's really kind of. It's a little bit like it's trash. I think probably. I like it, but it's trash. But it's
popcorn anime.
Yeah, in a way, like I think the costume designs are really, really tasteless and unforgivable. But I love the show. I think it's incredibly creative, and it's perfect for like watching on my commute. Whereas like I probably wouldn't want to watch I don't know, some like documentary about the Holocaust on my commute. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh God, no.
context matters a lot.
Don't bring the Holocaust into this.
Yeah, there we
Well, I
go.
have to say, I bought my dad got me like a Kindle Touch with a non-reflective screen, which I can tolerate reading for more than 5 minutes.
Those
And
are
I
true
do
reading
read a lot
devices.
on the bus now, but I only read young adult novels on the bus. Like I've been reading Infinite Jest for 5 years because I can only read it in the book form in my bedroom.
Aren't there those? Isn't there those white page tablets that are specifically designed to read books
Like
on
an
your
e-ink
tablet?
thing, you mean?
Yes.
Is it Kindle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the matte screen I can handle. Anything else just gives my eyes just start to hurt really badly if I read them for
Now,
longer than
Infinite
like a
Jest,
minute.
though, is an interesting one, not just because of the inordinate. This is a book that exceeds 1,000 pages. I love it to death, but it also plays games with footnotes. Now, can you
I love the
hyperlink?
footnotes.
Can you hyperlink to the footnotes, or do you?
Yeah, in the Kindle you can hyperlink to the footnotes, but I actually find I really prefer physically manually
Having to
turning
flip?
the pages.
Because
Yeah.
there's at one point in this book where there's I think it's a 20-page footnote that has a footnote in it. And it's one of the, it's kind of absurd. It's all about the Quebecian separatists that are in wheelchairs
gosh.
because to join their
Oh,
group,
yeah,
they have
yeah,
to
yeah.
lay down on the train tracks and have the train sever their limbs. I have to go back and read that again as a
I mean,
20-year-old.
what I read of it has been phenomenal. So.
It is. It's the ending, given how much you put into it, started to drive me crazy. But I know that was deliberate. It is that was kind of the book that defined my generation. It's like, walking around with our copies of Infinite Jest. It was no longer armor. It was club membership that weighed about 3.5 pounds. So.
Yeah, I got to Oberlin, and I was living in a house my senior year, and people were over drinking, and I got off the plane and dragged my suitcase in the room, and I was making my Halloween costume, which was Sailor Venus at the time, and I opened my suitcase, there's a Sailor Venus costume, and I picked my copy of
Yeah, we
Infinite
just
Jest.
go back in the anime with Sailor Moon.
Full circle now.
That might be the single most millennial content of a suitcase I can imagine. Is a
Let's
copy
talk
of
about
Infinite
something
Jest
more
costume.
recent. Let's talk about
No,
Ruby.
It's on the subject of, I want to talk about the young adult novels real quick, because Adam, I know you got some tweets from people talking about young adult novels being analyzed and criticized the same way traditional novels are, which is a really interesting phenomenon.
Let's come to a group understanding on what young adult novel means, because I think I might have a distinctly different definition. Okay, when you go into the bookstore, there's the kid stuff. That's where Babar is. And then there's that other section. Now, I remember it being called juvenile. Like somehow when I was a kid, I thought that meant, I'm older, I'm juvenile now. Oh, I'm so mature.
You're a renegade.
I'm no longer a child. And I mean, that's like that would be maybe your Nancy Drews. I guess now that would be the Harry Potters and the Lemony Snickets. Am I right on this?
Maybe like some of your more
Club?
classical stuff. Maybe like classical stuff like Dracula or Frankenstein. I would say might go under that.
But those
That's
were
more in
adult
the classic
novels.
section now.
Frankenstein is a great romantic novel, like the raging against like the industrial age.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Frankenstein's a very different thing than what you might think.
Yeah.
They do get repackaged and try to sell them to the younger market, though. They do deliberately market them as being like Twilight-esque, giving them new book covers, same
But
concept.
you're not really gonna
Stick them in
find
the
them.
YA section.
Leave Twilight out of this.
Frankenstein is a really beautiful love story. So
It is.
Yeah.
You're never going to find
It's,
it.
it's at least
though.
Frankenstein's a better love story than Twilight will be.
Everything's a better love story than Twilight.
Think about how Jane Austen.
Can we all disagree that Frankenstein is timeless? Can we all agree
It's a
on that?
classic.
Yeah. It's in,
Okay.
it's in the classic section.
That's where it belongs then. Classic.
there's your answer. Oh, my manager here at work, Jessica, actually just finished reading this young adult novel series called Divergent. I don't know if you've heard
Oh,
of
I read
Divergent.
that!
Isn't
It's
it
in
made-
Chicago.
It's being made into
Yeah,
a movie.
Yeah,
It comes out in like March.
Yeah, she finished the last book and I remember because she started tweeting really angrily because she's not into the ending at all and says she wants to punch the author in the face now. And so basically she tweeted out the advice like, if you're thinking of reading the Divergent series before the movie comes out, maybe just skip the last book and skip the ending of the movie. So I don't know. What is Divergent? Like, is that the new sort of Twilight caliber?
Probably the
It's
next
like
Games,
Harry Potter on crack. It's amazing. It's
Sold.
just like
Yeah. Great.
yeah. No, it's dystopian.
I want a Harry Potter
Chicago.
on Quaaludes. That's what I want.
So it's
No,
like
it's,
The Wolf on Hogwarts.
in Chicago, all of society is divided into 4 like houses, and they're basically the Harry Potter houses, but just like insanely overemphasized. So like the house that would be Gryffindor is this one where it's just crazy, courageous people who literally commute by jumping on and off of moving commuter trains, just like on the L. That's how they get around the city, which is not very different from how
or
the
they
L
use
moves
flying
normally.
motorcycles.
It sounds almost,
No,
it sounds almost like what you're describing is like a deconstruction of Harry Potter, like the Madoka Magica for the Harry Potter genre. Almost.
It's like Attack on Titan on steroids.
It avoids a lot of the tropes of YA novels that I hate, including love triangles. There's no love triangles, which is fantastic. And there's like a lot of people of color, and they go really quickly, and they don't do that thing that a lot of dystopian YA novels are doing, which is they have the moral message of, oh, well, in a dystopian society, it turns out both sides are bad, which is, like, one side's got to be better than the other side.
In a lot of ways, like the Bioshock Infinite mistake
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, Come on. We can't talk about endings without Mass Effect 3.
No. Mass Effect 3's ending taught me something very important. It taught me that things end. Also, as I've said before, it was the last review I wrote at G4 because I knew something was about to happen. I still like the Mass Effect 3 ending because there's that sense of inevitability. You make all your decisions in life, but at the end of the day, you're dead, and it's just the legacy of your decisions that you have to sort of. That's how you are established going forward.
I would advise anyone to go back and read Adam's Mass Effect 3 review, knowing that he knew that X-Play was ending at the time, because it's a fascinating context to read.
I didn't know I was going to get shit canned. All I knew is everyone was telling me that they were hearing from other people that I was going to get shit canned. Way worse. It was a wonderful time. I have such fond memories of it. Back pain and bourbon.
I saw a video, I think it was like a while back, where it showed a video of like you at the very end of the skit of the show where you kind of look.
My head snaps. Yeah.
Your head snaps, and like everyone points at that. It's like that's the moment where you realize that you were going to get fired from the spot.
Actually, what happened there? I talked about this in the piece I was interviewed for on Kotaku. 5 minutes prior to that, I received an email from the head of the talent department saying, myself and the VP of programming will be coming down to meet you in your dressing room. And I'm like, well, that's it. So there was only one thing left to do, and it was the goodbye, something I had done for 15 years. Usually we do it in 1 or 2 takes. That was the 15th take. I was stammering, I was stuttering, and when I turned, that wasn't so much because there was someone over there. It was because I just needed to get that mic off, walk out that door, get fired, and get on with my life. And, but the video is out there. Someone speculated that was something, and that's exactly what it was. Wow. I do not want to end this show on a dour note like that. So, Nick, do you want to grab one more question so we can laugh?
Yeah.
Pull up the fancy graphic.
It's hard. I'm trying, but I see all these like pineapple pizza apologists, and I don't really want to give them any positive attention.
What have we done? I bet Gallo has him like on style, and he's like, "Get Sessler now." Ruining my love of pineapple pizza.
Favorite endings to books, then. How about that?
Oh yeah. Okay. On that favorite endings to books, I've done this before, and everyone thought I was getting suicidal, and I don't do it. On my birthday, I'm a big fan of tweeting the last sentence to novels on Twitter because I'm older. I want to hear from some of you guys. I know what my favorite endings to books are.
Now that I'm on the spot, I have no idea what my favorite books are.
Can it be just best endings to things? Because I don't.
All right.
What is it called? Read books? I don't do that.
What's a book? You need to educate and diversify what you take in.
That's that famous Phil Hicks routine.
It's all anime and video games and green olive pizza, basically.
Hey, I'm associated with an anime site, so I understand. Let's go with that then. So
Nick, the end of Madoka.
The end of Madoka is crazy, and it's like it does that whole anime thing where the scale gets ridiculous in a way that most shows couldn't handle, but I think they pull it off there. I really like the ending to the original Old Boy, like the 2003 Korean, like Chan-wook Park version of Old Boy, just because it's so brutal, and as I've gotten older, I've learned to love the stuff after the twist a lot, because it just is so raw and
it's
and hard
very
to watch.
Korean.
For sure.
I mean, just that kind of howls of just anguish. I think in terms of books, like I think one of the greatest endings, and this is more like tens of pages of ending, but Paul Bowles's The Sheltering Sky, what happens in its third section, which is such a change from what you thought that book was going to do, and it just turns into this kind of fascinating. I mean, it really is kind of a psychological horror story of a couple that goes traveling through the Sahara Desert right after World War II, and they think they're kind of outside of they're Western and they're civilized. That's why it's called The Sheltering Sky. And the further they travel into the desert, the more they realize that their whole notion of civilization is not going to, they change, things fall apart. That's where I'll put it. It is one of those things I have to read about every 2 years because it's so magical. Well, in a dark, horrifying way.
Adam.
Yes.
Have you read A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan?
No, I have my copy, and it's just they're going, you haven't read me. But I've heard nothing but wonderful things.
It's really lovely. It's a really good book. I really like it. You like Gary Steingarten. This book reminds me of like the happy version of Super Sad True Love Story. Or at least the less soul-crushingly horrible.
Hysterically funny with the most scary ending I've ever read in a book.
I cried. I was sobbing at the end of that book, just absolutely sobbing. Like,
and he obviously is an alumni of Oberlin, where you went to school. I just saw him speak, and he went and talked at length. Let's see here. David, what's a favorite ending of something?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm not really a big fan of endings. Because with books in particular, I have a tendency to get attached to joy, and I just like seeing them end,
Mm-hmm.
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
Let's see, over here. Nate, how about you? Favorite ending?
It's weird. I'm thinking about a lot of theater stuff because that's what I did when I was in school, and I have all these weird endings. Like all of a sudden, like Waiting for Godot comes to mind because you have that ending of.
That's what I was about to say.
It's like they have that conclusion of like they want to go, they get up to leave, and then you have that one passage in the play where it says they stand, and then it just ends.
Yeah, because the child has come and told him yet again Godot will not be visiting.
Yeah. And then I also just think of all the weird, like, have you ever heard of the playwright Joe Orton?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think of all his plays because he was one of my favorite playwrights when I was in college, and it's just the absurdity levels of like what his shows went through, and just the endings are just still leave you like, what the hell just happened?
Also I think another play ending that it's the end of King Lear. Like after everything you've gone through and just the amount of sort of devastation and him finally having to come to grips with just what his hubris has wrought, not just upon his family but just everyone that is in his world. I love it.
I would say the same thing for Macbeth as well.
Oh yeah. Well, that's just like, whoops, damn it, oh man. Yeah.
It's kind of a trend with Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Tony, any thoughts on endings?
I think my favorite ending that comes to mind is the ending to Gungrave, like the anime.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking
Not
about.
the
That's
game.
a good one.
There was a Gungrave game, wasn't there?
I think you were thinking of There's Gun Valkyrie, right? Did you think of Gun Valkyrie?
No, Gungrave.
Guns. Yeah, no, I'm saying, what's the game that Adam? Was there a Gungrave game?
Yeah, there was a Gungrave game.
It was
on PS2.
That's the guy with the coffin. That's also a gun.
Oh,
Yes.
Trigun is what you're thinking of, right?
No, yeah, Trigun.
No,
that's
that's another
A lot of
one.
things. Maybe it's reflects
not as
on
it's not as
poorly that
uncommon as you may
everything
think.
has a name. Like it's kind of sad that all these things are either named gun or kill or some derivation thereof.
Or Bullet.
Yeah, bullet storm. Still.
Anyway, Tony, what resonated with you with the ending of Gungrave?
Well, you just have two characters who, like, one character previously in the show kills the other character, and then he rises back from the grave to, like, seek revenge, basically, is the show. But they're two best friends who love each other so much, and when he goes, like, at the end, when he has to kill his best friend, he can't do it, even though he had already previously killed him. And he just can't do it, and there's just, like so much love there.
He can't do it the second time. He's like, no, I learned my lesson.
Well, no, it's the guy who comes back from the dead can't kill him.
And Ethan?
Well, we go the ending of going back to Dogma 95 earlier. Lars von Trier's Europa.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That weird, like,
I got one.
combo of, like, hyper-fatalistic ending with weird, originally written, but hyper-dumb, overwrought pseudo-metal music.
Yeah. No. I mean, that was von Trier's, I think that was his first feature.
No, that's Element of Crime from '84.
Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I'm hyper Scandinavian film nerdy, so.
Hey, you know what? Tip of the hat to you. You know, we'll start a film club that's exclusively for Scandinavian films, and you know what we'll call it One Long Damn Night. And I think there's one other person that wanted to jump in here with a favorite ending. Who was it?
Probably me.
That was you, Max. What is your favorite?
Only one word. Bang.
From
Cowboy Bebop ending.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
Okay.
Like, I love how in that end, how during that whole like final sequence of events, like is just furious at Vicious for killing his one true love, and she died right there, just right in front of his eyes, and he just seeks revenge on Vicious, and he gets it, but dies on the spot, but dies there and just goes out with a bang. It was so awesome.
Well, it's much better than a whimper. And guys, I think on that note, we also are not going out with a whimper. This is clearly an experiment on behalf of both Nick and me to see the ability to find an audience that may not just want to talk about Resolution and Gears of War. And you know what? I can honestly say this has been absolutely a pleasure to be able to do this, and also kind of demonstrate to a wider world something I've said and many people above me have never listened to, which is gamers aren't only about games. They tend to have a lot of varied interests, and nothing could have been more demonstrative of that than what happened here today. This is not the only time we're going to do it. I want to thank all of you guys for participating. For those that were in the chat and put up with, obviously, our technical difficulties, I really appreciate you guys sticking with us. This is your Dress Sess. I will not be here next week because I will be out in Las Vegas for the DICE conference, but I will be back the week after that. In the second week of February. It's got a number on it. I just can't do the math in my head fast enough. Something definitely is going to happen in those ensuing 2 weeks. We'll be topical again. We will be topical again. But I got to say, this really was a lot of fun. Everyone, thank you so much. Take care.
See you, Space Cowboys.
Thank you.